When I was 12 years old in 1986, there was a new product that came out. This awesome drink, a drink that all the cool kids had. They took it with them to their lunch. It came in this space-looking, high-tech little bag. That's right, a bag. It wasn't a box, a juice box. It wasn't in a cup or a can. It was in a bag. And it was called Capri Sun. And I always wondered one, but we weren't the kind of family that got Capri Sun stuff. So I remember my family did try to do the next best thing, and their little grocery store had a knockoff version that looked somewhat like the real thing and looked similar, but it was not Capri Sun. And I remember that's what I got, and I took it to school and thought I was going to be okay, but the kids made fun of me. And although I essentially had the same juice in a package that looked very similar, I didn't have the real thing. And it seems like this is something that happens now in China with these handhelds, because today we're going to take a look at what is essentially just another R36 Plus in a new package with a different name. This channel's most popular video ever, with more than 20,000 views, was for the R40S Pro, which was nothing more than a reshelled R36S. So today we're going to take a look at the R39 Max, which from all accounts is nothing more than an R36 Plus. But if you saw our video with the R36 Plus, we had two models of those, one that had Wi-Fi and one that didn't. So what will this be? Well, stay tuned. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss an episode. But let's look at and unbox this and find out, is this just another clone in sheep's clothing? Or is there something a little different here? Anyways, let's dive in.
Lowe's knows that the projects you build in spring are the ones you can't wait to share.
Like this bill holder that I made from materials at Lowe's. With the upcoming recession, I want to be able to have my bills appropriately. No, wait, I don't build things, and are we going to have a recession? I hope not. Hey, Deadheads, welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel for the first time, new Deadheads. Today, we're going to take a look at the R39 Max. As always, we'll start with the box, and we have a very familiar looking box here. My biggest dream is to stay young forever. Now, we have seen that slogan, motto, whatever, quite a bit as well. So it seems like these factories, like there's 2 or 3 of them that continue to pump these things out. This is the R39 Max from the Palm Games. Now, we've seen Palm Games before as well. It is a nice, attractive box. I'll give it that. It has a nice front end on it. On the side here, we do have the colorways, and we do have it coming in a bunch of different attractive colorways. Now, much like I pointed out in my video for the R36 Plus, these do not have any sort of colorful buttons. They're all black. So that's one way to distinguish these products. Running around to the other side, and we just do have some specs here, again talking about the 720p screen and the 4-inch 1:1 aspect ratio. Moving to the back, and we have the huge R39 Max. So we have that there. We do have our parametricidal producto. So I don't know if this is targeted at South America or not, but for my Brazilian viewers, maybe you'll see this show up in your country. I don't know. I did pick this up off of Amazon, so that's where this one came from. Not AliExpress, but Amazon. Anyways, the specs here are standard. Now, this says Linux ArkOS. I don't know. We'll see. It does have DDR4 RAM. It's saying 8 gigabits, 8 gigabytes, whatever. And it is the CPU, the RK3326, the Mali G31. 4-inch screen, 3,500 milliamp hour battery. So let's get the box open, and let's take the handheld out of the way here. And below we have our plastic, and first thing we see here is a white, no white buttons, but we do have a white USB cord. Okay, we have wet wipes, but no screen protector. Okay. we do have a manual. The manual. So the manual here is standard fare. Oh my. Okay, so on the back here we have QR codes. That is a lot of QR codes in different languages. And on the front here we do have our specs again. This is a 4-inch 720 by 720 RK3326. 1 gig of RAM with an 8 gig eMMC. So that's probably what the 8 gigabit was about. And it does have one speaker, and this says a 4,000 milliamp amp battery. That's at 3,500. So again, par for the course. China can't seem to be truthful, or let me not say truthful. They can't be accurate about what they're selling. I don't even think it's a matter of being truthful. I think they just don't have, they have a lack of quality control and accuracy. But let's get this thing back in the box because I want to see if, it feels any different. That fake bag of Capri Sun that we got at the dollar store back then in the 80s or whatever, yeah, it didn't it didn't feel like a Capri Sun. It looked like one, but it didn't feel like one. So let's see what we got here. And pulling the handheld out, and first impressions of the handheld. This is very familiar, the size. So the plastic feels right. It feels like the other two units that I've reviewed, the R36 Plus. It feels better than the V40 Max. That was the other one by one that we've reviewed. This is now the fourth version of this that we're reviewing. Actually, fifth if you count Palketti's RGB20SX. But the plastic looks good. It feels good. So I'm going to say the plastic is about the same quality what we saw on the previous one. So far, yeah, like our R40S, our R40 Pro S video, this is the same shell. Looking around the back of it and everything, it does have the see-through battery. And I'll show some footage here. I took the battery out and you can see the motherboard. And guess what? Oh my, the motherboard is ding, 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 R36. So yeah, it's what I suspected. This is basically an R36 Plus that is under a different box, a different name. And again, just you can think of this as the generic, the knockoff, or whatever you want to call this, of the R36 Plus. So let's test out these buttons, and the buttons feel very familiar. So yeah, the buttons feel the same. They are connected, so they do have that typical connected. They feel good though. I don't see anything here. I'm not going to say they feel as good as my R36 Plus, and in a minute I'll compare the two, but the buttons are okay. Moving on to the D-pad, and oh, the D-pad's kind of bad. Okay. Oh yeah, the D-pad's a little stiff. Yeah, the D-pad feels a little stiff. It's not pivoting a lot, so we'll have to wait and see how the D-pad does. Then we have our switch style sticks. They are clicky. Big old bright light in the middle. We do have a front-facing speaker. So, and then let's try these triggers. Oh, triggers feel good. And I always like the triggers on R36 Plus, so nothing to be surprised here. So triggers feel really good. Moving around the side, and it looks identical to the R36 Plus. We have a power and a reset on one side with an SD card slot. We have another SD card slot and a volume rocker on the other side. Nothing on the top. Headphone jack and a OTG and USB on the bottom. So let's take a look at the R36 Plus. The good one, the one that has built-in Wi-Fi. Go watch my video if you haven't seen me comparing the two versions of that. But side by side, we can see that, yes, these look identical. There is a difference. So the one difference is in the 3-button setup in the middle, the function button is circular on my R36S Plus, and on my Max, it is oval. So that is about the only difference. Also, the D-pad is a little taller on this one and much better than the D-pad on this one. So again, everything else, the bottom looks identical to it. The back looks identical to it. The triggers feel the same. It does have the same battery door. And imagine that. It's got a very similar motherboard to it. Let's pop this battery out. Okay, so taking the battery off, and in our R39 Max, we do see from the motherboard that this is labeled as the R36S V12. So this is an R36S V12. Doing the same for the Plus. the original Plus, the better one, it does reveal that it says R36S Pro V11. So as I show some footage here showing both side by side, you can see that our blue and white one that we like, you can see the antenna there for the Wi-Fi. There is no antenna here for this. This is also a different motherboard. So this is an R36S motherboard versus the R36S Pro. And so I think that that is something to know here. They've essentially taken the R36S and put it in this bigger shell with a bigger screen, whereas the actual Plus model seems to have a revised motherboard that has built-in Wi-Fi. So that is something to think about when thinking of both of these. But let's get these things fired up and let's find out if it has ArkOS as it stated, or if it has some other kind of operating system. Hey guys, Dead Fred here. Sorry to interrupt the video, but I wanted to take a moment and share with you this awesome cover for our Miyoo Flip. Have you tried the Miyoo Flip? Now, some of you are getting broken hinges, but for those of you who are not, like me, I've had 3 of these and none of them have broke. This is a silicone cover that just really makes it better. It adds a little lanyard. It's really awesome. It was sent to us by our friends at AliExpress. I wanted to just kind of show this off. You can use my coupon codes in the description to save more, but this is a nice little thing you can add to your Miyoo Flip. Hopefully the manufacturing will get better. Again, I've had 3 of these with no issues, but I've seen that some of you all have had issues, so yeah, it's a real thing. But if you get a good one, hey, you might want to check out this silicone cover, which I think adds a lot of value to your Miyoo Flip. Anyways, guys, as always, thanks for checking out the channel. Back to the show. Booting this up, and there's our logo, and it boots into, it is not ArkOS. It is emulation. So yet another inaccuracy. Again, I'm not ready to say they're outright lying, but it's not accurate. So this boots into emulation. And as I show you side by side here with the R36 Plus, this actually has a different older version of Linux underneath running on it. And remember, we had that game console OS that I really liked running on the R36 Plus. So again, the clone of the clone, the knockoff, the generic is not quite as good as the real deal. So no surprises there, but this is emulation. A couple years ago, we would have been very happy with something like this because the software was terrible. But in a sea of things, if you have a choice between getting this or getting the R36 Plus in the white with the white buttons, I'd say go with this one because you're going to get built-in Wi-Fi. You're going to get a newer implementation of Linux. You're going to get a better software. So I'll show a little bit of game footage on this, but I'm not going to go too further into detail because this thing is essentially the same as the other one, other or minus the differences here. The D-pad on this is not quite as nice. The sticks feel the same. The shoulder buttons feel the same, which are really nice. The buttons are pretty much the same. I'd say they're still a little bit better here on the R36 Plus. They're not terrible. Front-facing speaker, dual card setup, and yeah. So this is rapid. Let's wrap this video up. I know this is a little bit short, but I don't have much to add to this because this is essentially pretty much a clone of the R36 Plus, minus a change in the function button, and then with a little bit stiffer D-pad, some less software support, and then also no internal Wi-Fi. Now, we did have the R36 Plus. It was all the same things with the R36 Plus that we love, but with no Wi-Fi. So it's confusing out there. It's very confusing, even for Dead Fred that plays a ton of these. So anyways, guys, I would not pick this over this. I would definitely go with this if you're going to have one of these. That being said, if you end up with one of these, it's not terrible. The screen is beautiful. This 4-inch 1x1 is such a great resolution. It's one of my favorite screens. I think 4 inches on a horizontal is beautiful, especially once you do like the Retroid Pocket Classic and you get that OLED. It's a great look. But even here, it's very sharp. This screen looks fantastic. The build quality of this is pretty decent, minus the D-pad. And, 2 years ago, I would have been over the moon with this. So it's not that this is a terrible handset by any means. It's just that, like the Capris Sun that I desperately wanted when I was 12 years old, this is what you're going to get, a knockoff Capri Sun. You want the real Capri Sun, get this guy. Otherwise, you're going to have something that is good, and you'll probably like it, but it's not the real deal. So leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Again, this is on Amazon. This is on AliExpress, and I think maybe also Amazon. I'll look at my links to save if you want to pick one of these up. But let me hear from you guys. What do you think? Do you like 4-inch verticals? I mean, handhelds, vertical handhelds. Do you like those? So let me know what you're thinking. Anyways, remember to love your hug ones and hug your loved ones because tomorrow is never promised. We'll see you next time, Deadheads. Dead Fred out.